OJ got that juice.
Tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell me about you.
I am a young man that I started like a lot of inner city kids, you know. Mother had me at 15 years old, was molested by her father as a child, and she fought through a lot of demons, you know, raising us. And I give her so much credit for being so courageous and strong in dealing with life and dealing with trials and tribulations that a young teenage girl should never go through, and still yet be one of the most amazing mothers I ever could have. To exemplify my mother, it's a saying that Tupac used to say, even as a crack fiend, mama, you always was a black queen, mama. And now that I'm a man, I understand those words, because it's a beautiful feeling for a woman to fight demons and yet still love. And that's, to me, that's absolutely amazing. It's a profound thing. And like I said, it took me a long time to realize that. And this was the reason, and this is why my purpose was always to save other people. To go back, watching your mother on drugs and being a child is kind of frustrating because you're not old enough to save them.
Right.
And you fighting and you like, oh my God, like I can't wait to grow up. I can't wait to be a man. I can't wait to get money. But all of this stuff that I wanted, it was simply to make my mother smile.
Right.
You know what I mean? I noticed that she wouldn't wear the nice clothes that some of the other mothers was wearing. She would wear jogging pants and t-shirts. Stay with her hair done though, always got her hair done. But I just, you know, ever since I was a child, I always could notice pain on people's faces. And when I saw it, I knew that I was able to take pain, but I never wanted other people to take pain, not people that I loved and I cherished. And I realized this, I realized that life is to be lived serving others and sometimes putting yourself to the back burner. And I always say that it's two type of people on this earth. It's people that's addicted to giving, and it's people that's addicted to taking. And I was always a kid that was addicted to giving, because when I couldn't give, I almost felt like I couldn't breathe. I felt like I wasn't existing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And my mother was a huge part of that.
Where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Pontiac, Michigan.
Pontiac, Michigan, okay.
Absolutely. Pontiac, Michigan, crime rate is 3 times higher than the average crime rate throughout the United States.
Right.
It's a small city, and what I mean by small city is when you have drama in these cities and beefs in these cities, you're right around the corner. The city not big enough for you to hide. So
right.
It was frequent shootouts, it was frequent murders, it was frequent abductions and rapes and rapings that was going on in my neighborhood. A pool full of drug addicts, alcoholics, people with terrible demons.
OJ got
Yeah.
that juice.
And what I say about my city, I can talk about my city. I would say that you almost could put your hand on the ground and touch the devil's fingertips. That's how bad it was. And I thank God that He gave me the ability to see further than where I was.
Right.
And like I said, the number one thing that got me here, sitting on this couch and being alive right now, was the game of football. And a lot of people look at sports like, oh, he just dribble a ball, he just run the ball. No, sports is a compass. It points individuals in a different direction. Even though if you don't go to the NFL and you don't do all these other things, it points you to a direction of becoming a man, learning about taking responsibility for yourself.
They give you a roadmap on life.
Yes, King. Yes, yes. And that's what it was for me, King. And you know when you ride in and you see a new restaurant, you be like, yo, that restaurant look cool. I want to stop there. That's just like me in my life, King. When I was homeless 3 years ago, I would remember watching cars ride past me, and I would think about how these cars never humped, they never stopped. And I realized, sitting on side of that Turkey Hill gas station, homeless, I realized nobody is going to stop and save us. They will watch you rot. They will watch you starve. They'll watch the crows eat your insides before they help you. And that's when I realized that if you don't have a car, walk. If you don't have legs, crawl. If you don't have any more life in your body, just keep gasping. And that's what I did.
So take us, before you became homeless and being raised by your mother, give me some of your family background in terms of what happened with your mom, what happened with your dad, and then what led you, because I know you talked about football too, and you were an All-American linebacker and then ended up homeless. So a lot happened between growing up and getting to the point of homelessness. So what were the steps that led you down that line?
Well, I basically, going into my 11th grade year in high school, I had a cousin named Sam Rogers who was hearing great things about me playing football down in Michigan. I was all-state, all that good stuff, and he said, you ain't gonna make it there. Rather you live with your grandmother or your mother, you're not gonna make it there. Because in our city, sometimes they believe that just having food stamps and assistance, they think that's living. But I always knew that it wasn't. And I watched my grandmother's son, my father get incarcerated, my uncle get incarcerated, my long lost uncle was murdered in that city. And I just saw a domino effect.
Path wasn't going the right way. Okay.
I saw a domino effect that was gonna lead me to destruction. And by the grace of God, my cousin saw that as well, Sam Rogers. Shout out to Sam Rogers. Played with the Buffalo Bills, drafted in '93. And that man literally called my mother and said, I want to fly William to Los Angeles. So when you talk about the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, I'm the true story of that. I went from being in the projects of Pontiac, Michigan to living in Marina Del Rey with an arcade in the basement.
Yeah.
A house down from Damon Wayans. Next door was Ken Norton Jr. I got opportunity to sit down and play checkers and chess with Ken Norton Sr., the great boxer. Faith Evans, around the corner. It was absolutely amazing. And when I got there, I realized I had something wrong with me.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of people that got this same problem, and that problem is we come from a certain broken environment.
Yeah.
We tend to believe that good is bad and bad is good.
Yeah.
And when people walk up to you and start saying, hey, good day, you're not used to that. Where we from, we looking at you like, yo, what's wrong with it?
Right. So you got to see the positives of success.
Absolutely.
And they're good people. Good people were successful. So you got, because a lot of people that come from bad neighborhoods and poor upbringings, they fight the concept of money. They think money's bad or it's linked to drug dealing or all negativity. But you got to see positive people that had money that were good to you.
Yes.
So you got, and then you played football out there, and then you ended up playing at some community colleges.
Absolutely.
And then you were looking possibly at the NFL draft, and then a whole bunch happened in your life.
So to piggyback, going back into Los Angeles, it's something that I definitely want to get this out. It was a moment that changed my life in California. It was one day I was sitting on the field and I kept getting phone calls that my mom was spiraling in and out of drug addiction. And it's hard for me to sleep. It's hard for me to focus because I'm in this beautiful place, but my family is still in the gutter. But my heart is with them.
Right.
So every day I eat a meal of a caliber, I felt some type of way. Every time I went to an amusement park, I felt some type of way. I felt like if I had this, they should have this too. And I got to the point where I would go to football practice and I would yell and fight the teammates. And my cousin one day took me in the locker room and he said, William, I'll die before I let you go back to Pontiac. If you go back to Pontiac, you're gonna die there. I know you're going to die there. He said, after practice, I wanna take you somewhere. And the place he took me to the bank. He said, Will, I didn't have my father. I didn't have my mother for a long time. And he pulled $10,000 out of his account and he said, what does that mean? If I can do it, you can do it too. And that was the moment that I realized that no matter where you start, no matter how life tears you away, as long as you got life in your body, you can change your life. And that was the day I realized that the best gifts come from the bottom. I went on through junior college, I dominated. Broke single season sack records, broke single season tackling records, and I did all of this without knowing how to read a playbook. I played life like my life was on the line. I had to dominate. I got to the point where I got into a collegiate college, University of Central Missouri. Didn't know how I got in because I didn't have the grades. They was coming back to El Camino back and forth like, oh, William don't have no grades. He's a great football player, Oregon, UCLA, all these great football teams, these scouts. They're like, he just don't got no grades because, mind you, I just got to go back that I was in special education. Couldn't read till I was 16 years old. So I was passing through school just as a great athlete. Mm-hmm. Back then, I thought it was cool.
Yeah.
But when I became a man, I learned that, oh boy, I'm in some trouble.
That was a mistake.
But when I go back to that compass, when I got to my sophomore year and I was finishing up, no school was talking to me. And I got a call from a coach named Willie Fritz from University of Central Missouri. And he said, William, do you want to come play football? And I said, Coach, I don't got no grades, man. How am I supposed to play some football? I don't got no grades. I was going back to Detroit to start selling heroin. He said, I'm gonna ask you one more time. Do you want to come play football? I said, yes, sir. I don't know how, I don't know why. They gave me a scholarship when I was enrolled at the University of Central Missouri. No, I didn't have the knowledge to take some of them classes, but I passed. They helped me how to do summer school.
Tutoring, yeah.
Everything you could possibly imagine. And I got all the way to the spring. I won defensive player of the game for our spring game, but it was a senior in front of me. And anybody that's familiar with junior college, they understand that when we come out of junior college, we can't sit on no bench. We got to get straight to it.
Right.
Because we only got 2 years left. And we're ready for it. It was a senior in front of me, but I outplayed him. But because of his seniority at that university and his years putting me in there, they was like, there's no way you're going to play him, you're going to sit. And you got to go back to what I was telling you. I was fighting to save my mother's life.
Right.
Since the beginning, like a ticking clock. And I was like, no, I can't do that. That take time away from me saving my mama. So I got in an argument with the coach. The coach basically, I said, why? And I won defense, and he said, well, quite frankly, I don't believe you're smart enough to play linebacker. And that was just his whole thing. He wasn't smart enough. So when I said I want to transfer, he told me, I won't release you to any school in my conference, but I'll let you go to an HBCU. I never knew what an HBCU was before this.
I don't know what it is.
It's a historical black college.
Got it.
Historical black college. Or university.
Yeah.
So he sent me an email of a coach named Kelvin Powell at Clark Atlanta University. I sent him an email, and Kelvin Powell got me a ticket and flew me to Atlanta. It was just in time for camp. And I went into camp, ready and laced, ready to do it. And Coach Powell said, you somewhere where people love you now. We're gonna take care of you. Fast forward through the season, In only 7 games, I had to miss the first 2 because of eligibility problems. I had 78 tackles, 5 forced fumbles, 5 forced recoveries, 2 picks for touchdowns, and was nominated for the D2 Heisman Trophy. And that was after he told me I wasn't smart enough to play linebacker.
Right.
I was arguably one of the greatest linebackers in the country that year, at all levels. They put me on the NFL radar for the 2011 draft class. After that season, I got a unanimous call from North Alabama. Terry Boughton, Bobby Boughton's son invited me down to North Alabama to join an elite team. He was bringing all these bounce back Division I players, Jamon Forson, Janoris Jenkins, all these guys was going down to this school they made mistakes in college.
Yeah.
And they invited me on a recruiting trip, basically. Probably was illegal.
Yeah.
But it was a great time. And then he told me, he said, well, you remind me of Takeo Spikes. So he used to coach me at Auburn. An amazing linebacker. I couldn't play that following season. I was gonna have to set out a year due to all my transfers through junior college and all that.
Right.
But they gave me a full scholarship. I'm sitting out there, I'm dominating. It got to the point some days with Coach Boughton to say, yo, put him on the bench. He's not letting us get plays off. He's not even playing till next year. Set him down. So I sat down and I observed, and getting closer and closer to the season, leaving out of spring, I got a call that my daughter was being born, Halo. And I went to give birth to her, and I was gonna give birth to my little baby girl and come back to school. Mind you, I worked my whole life for that moment. And a day after my daughter was born, the mother of my child, was paralyzed in a car accident. The mother of my child had just left college. You know, some kids get out of college, go live with their mother for a little while, they get their job up and running. So literally, in a blink of an eye, she had graduated. In the span of a month, she graduated. And now she was a carekeeper for
her mom,
her mother. She told me, William, you gotta make a decision. I need your help. I need your help taking care of your daughter. And I fought to save my mother my whole life, King. And it was the toughest decision I ever made in my life. It was between my daughter and my mama. I went to Boston, I chose Boston. And I remember the last day of packing up my bag and looking at my apartment to leave and go to Boston and telling Terry Boughton that I gotta go. And he respected me for it, because I had to make a mad decision. And my mother called me and she told me, I'm proud of you. She said, you never let me down. Ever since you was a kid, you always wanted for me. You always wanted to take care of me. And it was almost like she was saying goodbye. It was almost like she was saying, like, you done enough. You made me proud, and you done what God wanted you to do. I went down to Boston and I worked. I was depressed, in a deep depression, thought about her every day.
OJ got that juice.
I even had days when she would call me and I hear outside my family or my grandmother's house, and she'd say, there's no heat in the house. I need somewhere to stay. And I would hear them say, get away from my door. And I felt helpless. So I worked every day as a therapeutic assistant at Cedar Hill Hospital in Boston, Massachusetts. And every day I go in the closet, I cry. I'd be like, man, God, why you do this? And then I worked enough money up to, get them situated. And I contacted a coach named Keith Higdon that would coach me at Clark, Atlanta. He was now offensive coordinator at Tuskegee University. And I said, Coach, I need an opportunity. I said, I got enough money for my family, they straight. Now I gotta go back, I gotta save my mama. Still got time. And I took an opportunity to go down there, no scholarship, no money. I went down there with my cousin to drop off heroin in Birmingham, Alabama. That's the only way I could get a ride to college. He dropped me off in Tuskegee. I put in Tuskegee. It was a small little city. I contacted a player while I was driving in the city that the coach told me about, and I said, man, can I sleep on the floor? For a whole semester, I was sleeping next to a city dog cage every night. Dogs barking, rattling, moving. Sometimes they slept. But I was just hungry to save my mother's life. So I did all that, and then I left, and I was gonna get ready for the summer camp. I was getting in shape with my cousin Sam Rogers in California, training with some of the best trainers. And 2 weeks into training, before I headed back to go to summer camp and get my shot at the NFL, I get a call and they say, "Will, your mother passed of a heroin overdose in a crack house." And my time ran out. And I tell people, to lose your purpose and your passion that you fight for your whole life, you gotta recreate yourself. You gotta rebuild yourself. And I had to rebuild myself. I went down there to that school, got a defensive coordinator and a defensive lineman coach that did his research on me and said, "Your dad was a criminal. You got a criminal attitude." He talked down on me. And that was the first time I saw, people of my own color. That's the day that I cut out the racism card. It's not. It's just, some people are just evil. And it don't matter what color or race they are. They just don't see anything positive in the world, so they exude negativity. And I pray for them now that I know that. But he broke me down, and to the point where I left the team with 3 games left. He put me in for 1 game at homecoming for 4 or 5 plays. In those 4 or 5 plays, I had all 4 tackles in the sack.
OJ got that juice.
I did a kick and blew a kiss to the sky to my mama. He pulled me from the game. He called me a showboat. He said, "You will never play for me again." So everything I've been through, from burying my mother, from fighting, to get back here, you tell me that I'm nothing. I go to the Tuskegee Lake and put a 45 to my head. It's ready to blow my brains out. And I heard a whisper. They said, "Throw the gun in the lake." Could have been God, could have been my mother. But I threw the gun in the lake. And when I got home, I laid down, and the coach called me and said, "Well, I got an arena team that I want to give you an opportunity to play for. If you're interested, it's a tryout." It was called the Columbus Lions down in Columbus, Georgia. And I went down there and I tried out. It was 2 NFL guys, former NFL guys in front of me. We did a 2-week camp. And when that camp ended, I was the starting defensive end for the Columbus Lions. I went in there, I played excellent, battled with depression and suicidal thoughts throughout the season. For my whole life, football was easy. Life was hard. And the demons of sometimes when we bury people where I'm from, we don't get help. We don't get nobody to talk to. We just gotta take the pain and keep going. But not knowing that it's like putting the wrong gas in your car. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's driving, but it's not damaging your vehicle. And I learned that I was damaged no matter if I played the game, because I didn't play the game for just football. I played this to take care of somebody. So I had to find something that made me play this game again like I used to, with fun.
Right.
I played the game with anger at this point. And my coach noticed that. My coach said, "Will, I gotta let you go. Yeah, you playing excellent ball for us, but I gotta let you go. You're not well." So I went back to Michigan and I slept on my sister's couch for weeks and weeks, just moping. And one day my sister walked in and she said, when she came in from work, she said, "I can't believe this is my brother. The leader of our family, the strength of our family sitting here moping every day. Where your strength? And when my sister told me the words, she got me a membership at the YMCA to start training again. I kept training, and one day I was putting suicidal thoughts on
You're good, man.
on Facebook.
Yeah.
And a guy named Marcus Taylor, a world-renowned bodybuilder, he reached out and said, I want to help you. And I said, who are you? He said, somebody your mother used to protect when I was a little boy. She used to take up for me. She used to fight off people that bullied me. And now I'm a world-renowned bodybuilder. And I want to bring you to Toronto, Canada to train you for free. They picked me up. We drove to Windsor, went back to Toronto. Like a breath of fresh air, new life. You know how Toronto, some of the nicest people in the world. A month into training, he get indicted on charges for taxes. And I'm homeless in Canada. Mind you, this is some of the best experience I ever had down here, so I'm like, I'm not ready to go back to the States. Ain't nothing but pain back there for me. So I would rather be homeless in Canada than have a place in the United States. And I stayed. The gym guy at the Good Life Gym down in Mississauga at the mall allowed me to come work out every day. They became my family. I trained, and then I met a great friend that, a Jamaican family. One day when I was at the mall trying to find some food, and she was looking at me and she was like, you too young, what's the deal, what's your story? And the woman that spoke to me, brother, was a pastor. And she said, I want to take you to church. And I said, I'm down. I was sleeping at the train station, throwing my bag in the back of the tree. I always meet her out of the train station. And one day she came and picked me up and took me to church. And the sermon that the preacher spoke was, in life, God gives us appointments. And sometimes, just like when you got a doctor's appointment, we miss it. But when we miss it, we put ourselves in jeopardy of getting worse. That was my appointment.
So that was your appointment, was being homeless in Canada.
Yeah.
And then from a football perspective, where did you go next?
I went down to the Georgia Fire, man. It promised me an opportunity, and I went down there. It wasn't as nice, and it's almost looking like you ever looked at an ad at a hotel somewhere and they look beautiful on the outside, then you get there and you're like, oh my God. So what happened was they was feeding me Peter Pan peanut butter and ramen noodles every single day. At this point, I didn't know I had high blood pressure, but I actually ended up having a mini stroke before the first game. Played the worst game I ever had in my life. I had to play it or I was homeless again.
Yeah.
Basically went out there, bombed the game. I came back, going into that week, Monday or Tuesday, the coach called me and said, well, we're gonna have to release you. You didn't play as well as we thought you could do. So I said, y'all didn't feed me well as I thought you guys could either. So I had a mini stroke the night before. It's like, hey, I'm sorry, we gotta let you go. So they sent me down to Trenton. They sent me an email from Trenton Freedom, and Trenton Freedom was like, yeah, we played against them, a couple of our coaches coached against them when we played with the Columbus Lions. We definitely want to see them in action. Sent them down for a tryout. They told me I was supposed to get a contract, so I should pay for the ticket. That was for me to motivate me to pay for the ticket.
Right.
So I literally had to call the mother of my child, which we wasn't together anymore. It was, a lot of bad things going on, mental issues with me.
OJ got that juice.
I asked her, I said, I need one favor. I said, I need a bus ticket to Trenton, New Jersey, one way. And if I didn't, like I said, if I don't make this team, I'm just homeless in Trenton, New Jersey with nobody there. So she got the ticket, I went down there, no money, no food, the whole trip. I forgot how long the bus ride was. Got down there, coach picked me up, gave me a muffin, We went straight into the stadium. The first play, I did a spin move, set the offensive lineman on his butt. And when I went in there, the mentality that I had was, your life on the line. You gotta dominate. So, long story short, I ended up making the team. They put me in a nice hotel. I was living wonderfully. Was playing great football. And on Mother's Day, I went into the game. It was a funny type of morning, man. It just felt like everything was gloomy. It was weird. It was a weird morning. And I went in and played that game. And after I finished, a reporter walked up to me and said, William, how does it feel to break the single game sack record in Arena League football? And I said, how many did I have? He said, you had 6 sacks today. In the Arena League, you only get 4 to 5 seconds to get to the quarterback. Because it's short.
Yeah, it's quick.
You got to get closer.
Yeah.
He said, I've never seen that done. So on Mother's Day in Trenton, New Jersey, after having a stroke, after getting cut,
after losing your mom?
After losing my mom, I broke the single game sack record and was arguably the best defensive end in the league. I couldn't understand it. I didn't feel anything from it. I was excited because I did that on Mother's Day and I knew that my mother was with me, but I still didn't feel anything from it. I didn't feel purpose anymore from it. So after that season, I found out that coach was telling all the CFL scouts that I had mental issues.
Trying to keep you there.
Keep me there. It was a first-year team. The guys that owned it was putting up windmills and solar panels all throughout New Jersey at this time, multi-millionaires. And they was like, yo, it's all about the team. Trenton, we're gonna grow this down here in Trenton. We're gonna use King Hollis, we're gonna keep him here. After the season, I found out and I was, I voiced my opinion and they all turned their back on me. I was basically told to get out. I had to get out the hotel by the end of the season. They told me they were gonna help me find an apartment, all this stuff. And it was just like deja vu all over again. Like life get beautiful, then life get ugly, and then life get beautiful. It was like an up and down that played with my emotions, man. And I ended up having to sneak in the hotels that the players that had left yet had to sleep in their other beds to get a room to sleep in. Then I ended up going to get an application at the hotel desk, like, I need a job. Because all the players, after the season, they go home. I had no home to go to.
Right.
Wherever I was at is my home. So I basically ended up getting a job there. And then it was a player that had to get knee surgery, so the team had to pay for his hotel until he healed.
Yeah.
And he allowed me to stay. And when I stayed in the hotel, I would go to work and work overnight shift and then go back to the hotel. But one day I got caught going back into the hotel and they found out I lived there. I got fired. And that's when I had to leave and a friend said, I'm about to go to Dover, Delaware for a minute. It's a college scene. I got some old teammates there. I got a place we can crash. My family out here, but you can come. So I went out there with him. I put my bags in his car. I went out to Dover, Delaware. He ended up getting in a car accident. His parents were upset, made him come home. I was homeless in Dover, Delaware. I went to the library and got on Facebook and started typing. Again, suicidal thoughts. Just venting. Nobody to talk to, just venting. And a coach named Bernie Nortowski. The same coach that I broke the single game sack record against.
Yeah.
Was in the hospital. He has myeloma. I can't pronounce it.
Yeah.
Cancer.
Melanoma.
Cancer. And he was there getting treatment. And he said, "Where are you?" I said, I'm down in Dover, Delaware. He said, "I'm in the hospital getting treatment." He said, "Give me about 2 hours." I said, "Okay, coach." He called me back and said, "My wife won't allow you to live in our basement. And I want to give you a team. I want you to play for me at the Harrisburg Stampede." everything for you. I get out there, and this goes back to me trying to find my purpose in this again. I'm fighting to find it. I go down there, I get a job at the grocery store, start doing overnight stock, all this stuff, drip-free gym membership. And one day I was in the gym and I was doing power clean, and I felt like my whole left side and went out. I'm flipping it in just my body, like. And then I got on and I started doing these things, the hip explosion machine, where you get up and you explode with your hips. I failed. And I went to our local, our chiropractor, and he was telling me, he was pressing on my back and my vertebrae, and he had me go do an x-ray, and it was like, you got a L1 cracked vertebrae. And he said, it's been like that because of your continuous, the way you play. I ain't even wear a mouthpiece, bro. I was just, I just played the game, bro.
Yeah, you have such good teeth.
And that's a blessing. And as you know, as you can tell, I love to speak. So I always wanted to talk, and I couldn't talk with the mouthpiece in my mouth. So I always spit it out. But basically, going into that season, I couldn't tell Coach that because I would be homeless.
Yeah.
I would have nowhere to go. So he said, one day he called me and said, Will, I got bad news. And I said, what's up, Coach? And I was getting ready to go into camp and play with that L1 cracked vertebrae. He said, the team folded. Marcus Colston doesn't want the only team anymore. So you got to think about how powerful this is.
God was forcing you in one direction.
You got to think about how powerful this is. I was about to have to put my life on the line to live. God canceled the team. I was able to tell Coach that my vertebrae is cracked. The coach got another job that got players hotels to stay in down in Reading, Pennsylvania, called what was that? I can't remember the arena team. That's terrible. I can't remember. But the team that he was coaching, he let me become the youngest defensive lineman coach in the league.
Yeah.
That's how small the team was, if you can remember. But Coach Nortowski allowed me to coach them. My defensive line was #1 in sacks. I finally learned the greatness of being a coach, because it's a beautiful feeling to teach somebody something and you watch them do it. It's almost like you doing it.
Yeah.
And that's when I learned how beautiful it is being a coach. So after that season, that hotel ran out, and I was like, I don't want to put no more pressure on Coach B, man. I need to figure out where I'm gonna go.
Yeah.
So I ended up homeless again. I'm in the Abraham Lincoln Hotel, downtown Reading, PA. Legendary, historic hotel. Al Capone stayed there. All these people that stayed there. I see one of the owner's wives sitting on the couch, and I say, "Are you guys got any jobs?" And she said, "No, I don't believe so. But you go check the desk and ask them." And I said, "Okay." And she saw me sitting there for hours and hours. And I can't even remember this lady's name. She's like an angel, bro. She said, "What's wrong?" I said, "Man, it's just hard right now. It's hard." She said, "It's gonna be okay. Let me pray with you." She prayed with me, and she left. They asked me, "William, we know you coached on this team. Would you mind coming to speak to 5 young men at Reading Intermediate High School?" I said, "Sure." Suicidal thoughts, homeless. What else I got to lose? Let me get the world something. Let me give them something before I go. Within 5 minutes, those young boys was in tears. 5 minutes walking back to the hotel, I get a phone call and they say, "How much do you charge to speak?" I said $75, $80, $100. I said all three of them, because I didn't know what the price was. Instead of me going in the room and blowing my brains out, I went to the computer and I typed in Les Brown. And the first speech I watched was the Georgia Dome speech. I watched how he spoke eloquently. I watched how he talked about pain and kept it humorous. And that was my only speaking coach. had to watch one video of him. And then every day I go in and I watch a new guy, but nobody ever touched me like Les. So they did me assembly for 500 kids. I finished the assembly, every one of those 500 kids walked up to me and told me, "You saved my life." 3 years later, fast forward.
OJ got that juice.
4 years later, fast forward today, sitting on this couch in Dallas with you, over 100 million views on YouTube. First speaker to speak during Milan Fashion Week for Philip Plein. #1 football speech in the world. And the story behind that football speech, I got evicted in Huntsville, Alabama, had $130 in my account. Overdrafted my account to pull that money out and got my first recorded speech done with my last. And today it's the #1 football speech in the world. So everything I was looking for in my life about belonging and purpose, God didn't take my mother and football away from me because he just wanted to punish me. He had a bigger job than me running up a field, or me coaching, or me doing all this stuff. And I'm gonna be transparent, I'm gonna be real. Your mother, just about 24 hours ago, I asked her a question and I said, I always wanted to know my purpose. I know God blessing me and I know He's taking me all these places, but what's my purpose? And she said, without even knowing my story, she said, you've been trying to save people your entire life, and God had to take things away from you so you can focus on what He wants you to do. And that same energy that you had trying to save your mother, now God put it in a direction where you save millions. So the days I used to wait for messages to see that my mother is dead or something happened to my mother, now every morning I wake up to a person saying, you saved my life. So the lives that I didn't get to save, God quadrupled it. He said, you wanted to save 1 or 2 in a family. Now you're gonna save millions. And the reason He gave me the permission to do this, because all our gifts are permission. He gave me permission to do this because it's all I ever wanted to do anyway. This was my job.
This was your roadmap.
This was my roadmap. When I go back to what we said earlier, navigation, that football and basketball, sometimes sports, is a compass to point you in the direction where you need to go.
Yeah.
And not only did God give me a different gift to speak and save millions, He made me my own psychiatrist. Because when you speak to people about your problems, you get solutions. And when you see that more people been through the same thing you've been through, it gives you strength. It gives you a strength that I'm not alone. It gives you a mind frame that somebody gotta be strong enough to go through this.
So you're finding your purpose. So when you finally realized what your purpose was after you talked to my mom,
I realized that pain.
OJ got that juice.
and what you had been through, and the failures and the struggles and the hurt,
The pain
got you to the point that you are.
it prepares you for the world. It prepares you for any battle in life. It's just like a lot of people in life are afraid of people leaving. Imagine burying your mama. I'd be like, yo, I buried my mama, bro. You leaving? I'll holler at you.
Yeah.
And a lot of people that can't do that.
And finding out, and what I work with Be the Change is when you're trying to change the world around you, you have to change yourself. And you have to go through that pain. And you have to, if you're not gonna have an effect on people if you aren't finding wholeness in yourself.
That's the biggest thing.
And I know what you wanna do with the community, and when you talk to them, and I've seen the messages that you get on your phone minute by minute, you're changing my life just by doing a YouTube live, a Facebook live. People are commenting immediately on that stuff, Instagram live. Having that effect on your community, I know there's big things that you talk about, some of your key words and using king and queen and stuff like that. What's the purpose behind that?
I would say like this, the biggest example I can make is, imagine a royal king paralyzed, in a, what's the word I'm looking for, in a coma.
Yep.
Before he was in that coma, he had a crown. He was draped in gold. He was royal. And when he woke up 400 years later, everything that he owned was stripped from him. Everything from his homes, his communities, the way his people communicate with each other and break bread with each other, everything changed. And now this king has to figure out who he is. And when he woke up, they called him a nigga. But before he was asleep, they called him king. But he couldn't remember. So now this king got to figure out who he is. And when you say be the change, this is my change. It's to change the N-I-G-G-A mindset and instill a king mindset. To remind people of who we are, what we are, and what we come from. I'm a big believer in Christ, and everything that's created was created and came from darkness. So if things are created from darkness, every human being, every race, I always question, is it a such thing as white and black? Or it's just different, beautiful human beings that God created. He wanted to add some spice to it.
Mm-hmm.
And my mission is not to bridge, it's not to break cultures and races up. It's to give us a further understanding that we are not the whole puzzle. We are only a piece. And until we put the pieces to the puzzle together, we won't see the whole picture. So my mission is to change the mindset, reprogram the psyche,
Got that juice.
and put the pieces to the puzzle together.
Reprogram the psyche on white, black, doesn't matter. It's across the board.
Reprogram the psyche on love.
There you go.
Love, and just letting people know, bro, that you could talk about the past, you can talk about the problems, or you can change the future
By action.
by voice. The kingdom is voice activated. God chooses his voice that he wants. I can tell you, I'm not the most qualified in all these guys with millionaires and big checks and traveling and working with Fortune 500 companies. But there's never been a speaker that just spoke his way out of shelter. No degree, no marketing, no game plan. He just spoke and his life changed. And when it's a kid, a king or a queen, that's setting up saying that I'm nothing, that I'm not anything, I am the example. And I am the truth. That if you open your heart to God, if you clean your spirit and keep your temple clean, because only then can our Creator come in and speak to us.
So I want to do something with you. So I want to end it like this, because you have an ability that I think is incredibly special in the world of speaking. And I don't think a lot of people have it. So I'm sure people that have listened to this will find parts to all of your story that resonates with them and means something to them. So I want you to look straight into the camera and for 1 minute, talk to that one person that you touched and give them something that they're going to take with them to change their life from this moment forward. You ready, William?
Gotcha.
Talk to him.
King or queen, I know life has been hard. I know you might have took a lot of deaths. But I want you to understand something about death, because this is a problem that I dealt with. We think when our loved ones pass away that they just leave us. But I believe they rise in us. I believe they live through us. And everything we do for the rest of our life, we represent them. So when you become that doctor, they become that doctor. When you become that lawyer, they become that lawyer. Well, if you become that president, they become that president. I believe these angels are the reason why we continue to push and continue to strive and accomplish things in life. It's a song by a rapper named No Cap. And he says, I'm protected by these ghetto angels. No matter where you're from, race, color, creed, or country, understand that death is not a bad thing. It's just the next step to our next
OJ
journey.
got that juice.
This life is a practice run. You just make sure you perfect it.